Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I'm your host, Jim Dalfino, part-time Red Sox commentator, full-time chiropractor, and the only guy on this show who still thinks starting a podcast was a good idea. My job tonight, keep this thing moving while babysitting two grown men who think fantasy baseball counts as real-world experience. First up is Nick Face, the man who treats baseball analysis like he's calling a wine tasting. Hints of contact hitting, subtle notes of bullpen collapse. You half expect him to swirl his microphone and spit stats into a bucket. And then he's not overanalyzing. He's busy crafting trade proposals so delusional that even MLB The Show would reject them. Then there's Thayer Doyle, the only guy I know who could make a walk-off grand slam sound like he's reading the side effects on the bottle of cough syrup. He's not so much a hype man as he is a slow drip of baseball commentary. You keep waiting for the excitement to kick in, but all you get is, well, that happened. Now here's the reality. Your Boston Red Sox are 64-52, sitting in second place in the AL East, just 4 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, 4 games, which is basically nothing until you remember the Jays still have this weird habit of actually winning games. And here's the wild part. This team is 8-2 in their last 10, riding one of those mysterious hot streaks where you start wondering if you're accidentally watching a video game simulation. Ever since trading Raphael Devers to San Francisco in mid-June, yes, the move everyone treated like burning Fenway Park down, the Sox have gone 30-16. Some insiders are even calling it a godsend. Translation, we somehow got better by subtraction. Sorry, Devers stands, but the numbers don't lie. The new golden boy, Roman Anthony, the Red Sox locked him up for 8 years and $130 million, with incentives that could balloon to $230 million. He's batting .283 on the year, getting on base at a .400 clip. Plus, he walks more than most New Englanders after their doctor says your cholesterol's a disaster. This kid's legit, but so was Jackie Bradley Jr. once, so let's pump the brakes just enough to not get hurt again. Tonight, we've got Walker Bueller taking the mound against old friend Nick Pivetta. You remember Pivetta, right? That pitcher we ran out of town who's now 11-3 and got a .273 ERA with the Padres. Translation, he'll probably throw a no-hitter against us just to prove a point. So here we are, second place, hot streak, a rookie star, and somehow making a run at the post-Devers world. Buckle up, Sox fans, because this train's either heading straight to the wild card or straight into another heartbreak. But hey, at least we've got Nick Face, Thayer, and me to narrate the ride into either glory or therapy. So let's get into it. Thayer, I'd like to start with you. Let's open with the reactions for this 3-game series with the San Diego Padres. What are your expectations for this weekend?
I think we're going to take 2 out of 3. I'm going to remain positive. I think our pitching is set up nicely with Giolito and Doyle finishing off the series. I don't trust Bueller, but at the same time, he shocked me in the past. When he pitched against the Dodgers, he pitched well. There might be some aspect of him going back to his National League roots, facing opponents that he's used to facing. Perhaps he'll have an advantage in that. And Pivetta, like you said, I kind of always enjoyed Pivetta with the Red Sox. He was sort of a mental case sometimes. One thing for certain with Pivetta, you always knew he wanted to win. He gave every ounce of effort on the mound, and that was important. So I think we're going to take 2 out of 3. I like the way our offense is playing. If we can play defense, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, with Pivetta, I've always enjoyed the fact that he was very boisterous on the mound. He showed you he wore his heart on his sleeve. He was a really good guy and a good fit for Boston. It seemed like that welcome wagon just kind of worked itself out. Nick, your thoughts for this weekend's series with the San Diego Padres?
First of all, I just want to say I would like a bronze statue as well in my hometown. I just want to make that crystal clear. So before I pass and anything, I want to make sure it's right by my train station, just like Tom Brady.
I'd
But
like to
in
hear
all
him play a
fairness,
crap macaroni.
congrats to Tom Brady on more accolades for everything. He is now 12 feet tall, standing at Gillette Stadium. On the Red Sox, on the Red Sox note here, Walker Bueller tonight is pitching for his life as a Red Sox. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Chris Cotillo earlier today. I'm going to read it in case those of you did not see it. I found it pretty fascinating because it triggers some incentives and money, and I don't know if the Red Sox want to continue to pay for this. So, story time with Coach Nick. Listen up. Feels like a big start tonight for Walker Bueller, who may be on thinner ice with his roster spot. Have heard Red Sox assessing potential rotation changes, especially with Harrison looking better and Chris Wells' Houston outing. Bueller could be the odd man out without a turnaround soon. That was tweeted earlier today at 4 o'clock by Chris Cotillo of Mass Live. I trust what he has to say. The reason that came out is because there are incentive bases in this deal. And I think the Red Sox have grown frustrated and tired with what they've seen of Bueller of late. Now, on the positive front, as Thayer said, he's going back to the National League, his roots, going to San Diego. San Diego is a pitcher-friendly park. That is one of the reasons why Nick Pivetta is having such a masterful season so far. I am a little pessimistic with how the offense is going to do over on this trip to San Diego. I have to be perfectly clear on this. I don't love the fact that this is a pitcher-friendly park. There are some decent names that are throwing for San Diego this weekend. Pivetta, Dylan Cease is going to go on Sunday. The Red Sox pitching definitely needs to needs to shine. I don't have much faith tonight in Bueller, but I do in Giolito and I do in Bayo. So I do expect Saturdays and Sundays game to be pretty good in their outings. Tonight is the big wild card of the 3-game set. This is also very interesting. I will be listening to the game on MLB TV tonight because the audio feed you can choose, and I will be listening to my favorite announcer, the best announcer in Major League Baseball, and the best announcer that I grew up and watched, Don Orsillo. And I find it very fascinating. I tweeted earlier today that Mike Monaco is on the trip to San Diego. I have yet to hear confirmation on if Monaco is on the Nesson call or the WEEI call. I am speculating he is on the Nesson call because Dave O'Brien has yet to show his face when Don Orsillo broadcast from the Padres when the Red Sox face off, because Dave O'Brien is a backstabbing little twat after what he did to Don Orsillo. So if O'Brien is in the booth, I am very curious if there are words exchanged between Orsillo and O'Brien, and I want to see a little rumble between the two and have a little bit of chatter amongst the media on anything that's going on. I think Don will be at least classy enough to say hello, but deep down, there's some bad blood brewing if those two are together.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. I mean, the first thing is really they do need a title card for the next WrestleMania, so maybe it would be O'Brien and Orsillo. And John Cena will be retired by then. Getting back to the 3-game series, I also am a little bit kind of unsure myself how they're going to do. I do want to say that they'll take 2 out of 3. A lot of it's going to depend on the offense because, I mean, they are throwing 3 good pitchers. The San Diego Padres are in Pivetta, King, and Cease. Cease is having probably a little bit more of a down year than we're accustomed to with him. So the fact that he's going against Brian Bayo, I think you got to give Bayo the upper hand in that. Michael King is having a good year, but he doesn't have a lot to show for it. 64 strikeouts. His last game, though, he went 7, I think, innings. And, I'm sorry, 6-1. He actually lost that one. My bad. 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. The one before that was also a San Diego loss, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. So he is striking out some guys. So, with this lineup that the Red Sox have is always a worry there. And then tonight is the toss-up, Walker Bueller against Nick Pivetta. I worry that the Red Sox are going to get the Nick Pivetta that wants to just shove it down their throats and just basically say, you got rid of me, you didn't want me back, and look, how do you like me now? So I kind of worry about that. And you could also make the argument that Bueller was the Pivetta replacement, and as a result of that, he's not having the year that we had hoped he would have. So this is kind of one of those telltale signs. So hopefully we wind up getting on the bright side of this game. That being said, a couple other things that I wanted to talk about is the Carlos Navarez injury. It came out a little bit yesterday, and he's got knee soreness actually from a Tuesday incident. He began limping after running out a ground ball on August 5th, and he thought he would be able to tough it out and finish the game. Wednesday, he was not playing from what I remember, and it says here that they would hope he would be available for today. They just interviewed him prior to the game. He says he has no pain and that he is feeling pretty good. So what are your guys' thoughts? Thayer, I'll start with you on Narvaez's injury, and how would this impact the team going forward if we were to lose him for any substantial time? And we'll parlay that into the fact that the Red Sox also claimed Ali Sanchez off waivers from the Blue Jays.
So I think long-term, if it's a long-term injury, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I don't think Wong is capable of really handling the starting duties the way he's been playing this year. And as we mentioned before, their failure at the trading deadline of picking up anyone of use is going to be impactful. Now, short-term, if it's something minor, it may not be the worst thing to put him on the 10-day IL. And if nothing else, just get him a break, because he's starting to wear down. He's played a lot more games than he has in the past in the minor leagues. So just getting him a little bit of rest might benefit us in the long run. So I'm not going to say this is the end of the world as long as it's something minor and they can come back with it within the end of this month. If it's something that's going to go on longer, I really have a question about whether they're going to maintain themselves, because his prowess behind the plate is superior to that of Wong's. And even though he's struggling offensively, he still does offer a greater threat at the plate.
Yeah, no doubt. His offensive numbers have definitely gone down since earlier in the year. Still is a strikingly better offensive option than Connor Wong is. Nick, we know you're a Connor Wong fan, so tell us exactly what Carlos Narvaez means to you, the Red Sox, and going forward if he should be down for any extended period of time.
To give the fans a little bit of info on this Ali Sanchez that was signed today from the Blue Jays. So he was claimed off waivers, as you said, Jim. He has a grand total of 46 games of Major League Baseball service. That is between 2020 to 2025, the right now. He does not have any options. 0. So he cannot go to Worcester. He actually is in San Diego right now. I was thinking that Narvaez was going to be on the IL right away. And NESN came out and they did an interview with Narvaez. And from all communication that's been said, this is what Narvaez said. He said, way better today. I did all my defense work. I threw, I blocked, I received, I swung. Feels way better. No pain at all. Hopefully I'll be good maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. And that was the injury, if there is an injury update. All this is right here, in my eyes, is exactly what Thayer said. This is fatigue. This is wear down. This is a guy that has never caught this amount of games in his professional career, especially in Major League Baseball. He's a rookie, folks. So this was an unexpected turn that happened with Narvaez come May. Took over the job, of course, when Connor Wong went on the IL for, I think it was like 3 weeks or so. It wasn't that long. And Wong just never was able to come back and really do anything. Wong's picked it up, I guess, a little bit of late. That doesn't give me any confidence here. If Narvaez goes on the IL, this is a catastrophic move if that does go down, because I personally don't feel the pitching staff could be managed well and right with Wong and operate the same way that it has in this stretch of games that we've had since the early beginnings of July. They got to monitor this big time, and I think that this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to catch it early. I would expect Wong to play at least the next 2 games. If we're lucky, we'll see Narvaez return on Sunday. If I were the Red Sox right now, I'd have him sit out this weekend. Let him catch a break, get everything right before he goes back into game action, and manage this effectively, because we don't need anything to linger here. If you have to bring Ali Sanchez into this team and this roster, it's going to make the trade deadline move of not even bringing back like a Christian Vasquez, who I know Christian Vasquez is way behind his years. He's just a professional veteran guy now. He's not going to be the Christian Vasquez of old if you did bring him back here. But that was one of those things where I said to myself, depth is better than not having any. And we have no depth at catching. None. Who was the guy that we had earlier this season? Blake Seibold? Was that his name?
Something like that.
Yeah. He went out to San Francisco, I think.
And that was a catastrophe because he was a horrible defender behind the plate. People are running on him for days. So at least if they had given Vasquez something and just put him on the roster and said, you're going to catch and you're going to play a little one bag and move around the diamond a little bit or something, it would give me a little bit more flexibility on my roster to manage what's going on with Narvaez. So let's see what happens. Let's see if this can be managed. Right now, we're going on the managing stage, and let's see what happens at the end of this series or the beginning of next against Houston.
Yeah, you bring up some really good points. I mean, obviously, with the trade rumors with the Twins, I had said at one point, could they try to open up a deal where maybe they wound up getting Joe Ryan, they also wound up getting someone like Johan Duran, and even get, Vasquez just as a throw-in, so that we would have a backup catcher. And make no mistake, for as bad as Vasquez is and for how much people want to crap all over him, he's still a better option than Wong behind the plate, even at this stage of his career. So you're not going to lose anything there. And you never know with getting a guy back like that if it would reignite him a little bit. But, that goes back, and it's a story for another day. We can make this a really big thing and go back to the Devers contract. And, if you had paid a little bit of that, would you have gotten better prospects? To then maybe you could have parlayed that into getting Ryan from the Twins and making that deal happen. So many different ways that you can certainly split hairs on that. But back to the catching situation, the fact that you've got to go and claim a guy off waivers from the Blue Jays while you're out west with a potential injury to your starting catcher just goes to show you, what the hell are you doing with your AAA catcher? I mean, I don't even know who those guys are. Nathan Hickey and Durso Lira, Chadwick Trump. I mean, is it like, I don't Selby Zavara. I mean, I don't even know who these guys are. I don't even know who the starters are, but you couldn't bring up any of those guys just to kind of come in and put Narvaez on the DL and try someone else and just see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a better option than this guy, but if Narvaez is okay and he's not going on the IL, then I guess this guy's going to be DFA'd from us tomorrow because there's not going to be any room for him. And so that wouldn't strike me, as a surprise if that happens either. So we'll see how that all works out. I do want to go into a little bit more with the Roman Anthony extension and a couple other things that, are interesting about it. If I can just get my notes here. It's obviously the 8-year, $130 million deal. And it takes him with a club option for 2034, and I think it's a $30 million club option, and there is a $5 million signing bonus. The deal can escalate, obviously, to $230 million if certain performance incentives are fully met. These are things like winning Rookie of the Year. He gets $1 million for the first 3 years for that, plus $2 million if they exercise the 2034 option. If he MVP voting, if he wins an MVP, he gets $2 million plus $2 million on the option bump from 30 to 32. If he's second or third in MVP, he gets $1 million. Fourth or fifth, he gets $750,000. Sixth to 10th, he gets $500,000. And all-star appearances are $200,000 apiece for the first 3 years. So the escalation on his salary looks like this. He gets $2 million next year, $4 million in 27, then each year 8, 15, 19, 23, 25, and then 29 in 2033 with that $30 million club option. Thayer, let me start with you. Do you think this was a good move by Roman Anthony to take what appears to be a team-friendly deal? We heard a lot about the fact that he, wasn't going to sign. Is this a screw up by his agent? Did he just want to lock in? Who's the winner here?
The winner are the Red Sox. Without a doubt, it's the Red Sox. I can't begrudge him for taking the money in any way, shape, or form. No doubt about it. There's positives and negatives from each side. We see Vlad Guerrero bet on himself, and he is making boatloads of money. We saw Mookie Betts bet on himself. He is making boatloads of money. We've seen players like Cassis bet on himself, and he cost himself loads of money. So it really comes down to personal choice. Are you comfortable? And this is going to sound real strange. Are you comfortable with only having $130 million, potentially having only $130 million? So in the long run, I think he's costing himself money. But at the same time, there is something to be said about peace of mind. And we don't know what kind of person he is or what kind of player he is and how he reacts. Is he a guy that doesn't react well to pressure, so to speak? The external pressure. So he's a guy that, knowing he's got the contract, only has to worry about playing baseball, and that's going to benefit him for the rest of his career? Or is he the kind of guy that likes chaos and would have been better off? So I don't know. I think his agent probably failed him in this situation. But again, it's an incredible win for the Red Sox, no doubt about it, because basically we talk about the possible options. He needs to be Fred Lynn to collect that sort of stuff. You really, other than Ichiro, who was not a rookie when he came in to win that MVP and Rookie of the Year, you have to be phenomenal. And we've seen good ball players, like Harper was good and Soto was good, but they were not MVPs in their early years. So Boston really, I think, made out with this one, no doubt about it.
Nick, if you were talking to the 21-year-old version of yourself tonight, would you take the 130 or would you have held out, knowing that as the number one prospect in baseball, you have the chance to probably double that by the time you're 29?
I am a terrible person in terms of lottery tickets and gambling and all that sort of thing. So I would tell you, yes, I would, because in life, there is nothing that's a guarantee. There could be an injury like a Casas injury. You could have a situation where you can even look back in time. My boy, way back in 2004 or 2003, Nomar. Nomar turned down a 4-year, $60 million deal, and that's what triggered his sayonara attitude out of here. I don't blame Roman Anthony whatsoever on getting the guaranteed deal on paper. Who's to say that this could all just be nothing for him? That would be catastrophic for this organization, but at least he set himself up to have one heck of a life, whether he's a winner, whether he's not. Now it comes down to the pressure of building your statistics here in Boston, your accolades right here. It is the toughest place to play. Fans will let you know when you're good, and they will let you know when you are absolutely terrible. So he gambled on himself in his own right with saying, hey, yeah, I am going to take this deal. I'm happy here. I want to be here, and I'm going to prove that I can do this. I think that takes a lot of maturity. I think that takes a lot of thought and a lot of understanding who you are as a person to make something like this happen. So I am not going to fault him in the least bit for securing his future here in Boston. I'm thrilled about it. I know the Red Sox are thrilled about it. I want to talk about this being a win-win. It's a win for Anthony, and it's a win for the team. And I couldn't be happier to have a guy that's here that, number one, wants to play here, that everything that we have seen shows that he's a great player here for Boston. I think he's going to fit here great, and he's a glue piece and a foundational player. And now it's time for us to sit back and watch and see what he does. And for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to watch a player perform. I'm excited to see him on a day by day, night by night basis and see who this guy is, because we haven't had this in such a long time. I want this to be nothing but positive and nothing but an experience here that could get the fan base all excited and happy to finally have a player that they can root hard for, they can watch, be excited about, and see what's here to happen.
You know, Devers was supposed to be that cornerstone for the next 10 years on this team. And obviously,
Fraud.
you know, you got it, you know, yeah, tickle in your throat. You know, the bottom line here is that however and whatever you want to believe as it relates to his clubhouse demeanor and his ability to be a team player and whatnot, at the end of the day, the Red Sox put their foot down and they basically said, if you don't do what we want, we're the one paying the bills. You're out of here. Sure, you can still keep your money because we traded you and a contract's a contract, but we're not going to tolerate that kind of, you know, way of being. And so, you know, there is something good for that. The one thing that I think the only thing that I would be skeptical about with Anthony, and it's going to be a very small point, just I like when players have to try to earn their money. You know, after 15, 20 games, whatever it is with him, he's looking good. Campbell looked good too after a short period of time. And, you know, hopefully he's going to work it out. And we've seen him, you know, start to hit the ball a little bit better in Worcester, but there is still some concern. And this is twice the amount of money that they're giving Anthony. At the end of the day, if he becomes the perennial all-star that we think he is, it's a no-brainer for the Red Sox because what can you get for a decent player now for $16 million? You can't get much. You're getting Joe Average at this point. It's unbelievable. So, you know, at that rate, even if he is a player that's 2 WAR over or 2+ WAR or something like that, you know, has an OPS plus of 110 or 105, you know, you're still not it's still not an albatross contract, and you could probably still move him late in that deal if you wanted to. The point from his side is, Nick, you brought this up. He wants to be here. If he didn't want to be here, you wouldn't sign. And I know we can look at it from different angles. The Red Sox are really only getting 2 extra years out of this deal. I mean, it's not like it was a 15-year deal, right? So they're actually getting just 2 more years. But those are important years too, because there's a big difference between being a free agent when you're 27 or 29. You know, look at what Juan Soto got. You know, I mean, Anthony's gonna make what 1/6 of what Soto is gonna make in his career. But, you know, we want guys that want to be here. We've had a problem over the last few years of hearing things like Noah Syndergaard not wanting to sign here and Zach Eflin not wanting to sign here. It's been kind of a revolving door, and a lot of it has been all negative. So we want to see guys that want to play and put the Red Sox uniform on and be here for an extended period of time. And, you know, if he winds up being the player we think he is, he alone is going to attract not only fans, he's going to be a very good marketing piece for the Boston Red Sox, and he's going to attract other players to want to be here as well, I believe, because they're going to want to be with a winning guy and a winning talent. And I think that's why it's so important for the Red Sox to at least get into the playoffs this year so that they can experience that atmosphere. One of the things Anthony had said in his press conferences, you know, when he got here, you know, seeing the fans and just how it is. Again, I don't have that minor league experience. Thayer, you do. You understand how it is being surrounded by a lot of fans. And then to go to the major leagues, it's a completely different animal in terms of the fans and what you hear and how many people are there every single night. And if he's a guy that feeds off that, that's the kind of guys we want. We want to develop winners. We want Anthony to be the next Alex Bregman, David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia. We want long-term Red Sox guys that are going to be, you know, not only above average talent, but then also be just that pride of winning. You're close there. You there? Yeah, you're back.
We're there again. We're back.
Your closing thoughts for tonight there.
A mini earthquake.
Nick. I really would like to see Walker Bueller come back and give 5 innings. Give us 5 good innings, pitch well. I'd like to see the offense put together some quality at bats and get out early and sort of see what the Padres are when they're trying to come from behind. I think the Padres are very much like the Red Sox. They're a team that now has to front run. I don't know if their depth has more professionals in it, with Tatis and Bogarts and Machado and Arise. They're far more dangerous, but at the same time, they can be pitched to, as we've seen in the past with those guys. The addition of Mason Miller, their bullpen is pretty nasty out there now. So I'd like to get ahead and not have to deal with that bullpen at all. So I'd like to see them get out today. I said 2 out of 3. I think today's they're gonna lose this one, unfortunately.
Nick, your closing thoughts for tonight.
I want to see a jump start here from this offense early on against Pivetta. Get them early, because if they do that, I feel like we will see this team be able to steal one here tonight. I'm going to put it on record, and I said it earlier, I am not expecting a win here tonight. I think Pivetta is going to be so amped up and fired up and going to shove it right against the Red Sox tonight. I really do. But if we have a glimmer of hope here, it's to get them early, because I think knowing how Pivetta has gone about his career when he was a Red Sox, it's that early beginnings of him. Get him on the edge. And if they're able to succeed from that, we'll know early on. I really do. I feel in the first inning, if you got 3 strikeouts off the bat, 2 strikeouts, whatever it is going to be a Pivetta night. And I really feel that's going to happen. I don't want that to happen. It's probably going to be an early night for us to go to bed. But you heard it here first. I do think tomorrow's game and then Sunday's game with Giolito and Bayo, both of those guys, I think will be in a little bit better situation. And again, the biggest thing with these guys, both of them, is let's get out of the first inning without any runs given up. Let's see the command. Let's see the location on point and get this series. 2 or 3 would be great. I did say on Wednesday that this trip will, to me, I went 3-3. I want to split between the Padres and Houston. I'd love to be wrong. Prove it, Red Sox. Show us what you're made of.
Yeah, prove that you're truly a playoff one. Jim, real quick, I want to stay positive. I'm trying to stay positive now as we're going down the stretch. On that note, there could be some hope in the future. Currently, Christian Campbell has got a 15-game hitting streak, and over the last 2 weeks, he's hitting over 400. So He may be figuring it out. If he's figuring it out offensively, that he comes up and can solve the first base problem. I won't even say solve the first base problem. Will kind of help the first base problem, as well as put an extra right-handed bat that you can rely on to be damage possible, then we're looking at a much different ball club if we can extend that lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. It's all about extending that lineup and getting that turned over. To Nick's point with tonight's game, I'm pessimistic about it, but I think that if the Red Sox can get to Pivetta early, I think he's going to have some butterflies facing us. So I think if you put some pressure on, try to get some walks, see some pitches, go deep into counts, and try to maybe, like, if Durant gets on, try to steal, whatever it might be, to just really kind of like put some pressure on him. He's the kind of guy tonight that I think if you get to him early, you win. If you don't, he's going to settle in and he's going to go 7. And that's what concerns me. So I think you've got a shot in the first or second inning. And if you don't win the first or second inning, you're going to lose this ball game. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the Red Sox need to put like a 3 spot on the board in the first 2 innings. And that's kind of like where they're at. Your point on Christian Campbell, I mean, I'm ready for him to come back. I'd like to see him, try to get some at-bats here in the majors. And, if we can extend that lineup, get him in at first base, maybe a little bit of second, I don't know. But you know what? We need a little bit more right-handed bump in that lineup to try to extend it, especially if Narvaez does, in fact, go on that IL at some point, in the next couple days. That being said, everybody, please go to our website at redsoxdigest.com and subscribe to our digital product. You get emails at least once a day on the recaps of games. I try to do that after every single game. Thayer is working on a great product called Fenway Flashback, where we are reviewing the 1975 team. So if you are a history buff or you like any kind of history regarding the Red Sox and their opponents, back 50 years ago and want information on that, it's a great little product to read and take in and absorb. Other than that, we will be back with you on Sunday night, probably around 7 o'clock. And we'll recap the entire San Diego series and give a preview for the Houston Astros series. 4-2 is what I'm calling for this 6-game stretch. Red Sox winning 4 and losing 2, going 2 out of 3 to San Diego and 2 out of 3 in Houston. You've heard it here. Have a good night, everybody, and the game will start momentarily. Goodbye.